Hello, this is Brian Hegney, instructor of Game and Interactive Media Design. Last week I gave you a lot to think about, I believe. We modeled a wine glass like 4 different ways, and I think thinking about breaking down objects like weapons in terms of all the different ways you can model things is really helpful. I'm going to show one more thing this week. I don't want to give you too much because I want you to get into modeling your object, and that is introducing chamfer. I don't think I've shown chamfer. I've kind of done something similar to chamfer. When we've used turbo smooth, we kind of were getting away with a chamfer in a way, but I realized chamfer is also a fun tool you should all know how to use. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about modeling a wingnut. This is my sketch for how I'm going to draw a wingnut. And I think what I wanted to do is just show really quickly. Oh, I know what I wanted to do. A wingnut that I'm going to model. It's going to be this. You can see it looks like a cone. It looks like a cylinder, but its top is a little bit smaller than its bottom, and so I'm going to model that out of cone. And in my drawing here, this is what I sketched out, what I'm going to do. I'm going to model this cone here, put a circle in the middle, extrude it downward, and then I'm selecting these sides here and just showing you that I'm going to extrude them outward. That's my game plan. I kind of thought about it for a little while. Hey, how would I do this? I sketched a few sketches, because that's what I like to do. That's how I like to think about my objects going forward. Sometimes I get into 3D modeling and sometimes I don't. In terms of how many polygons we want to do, or how many polygons I want to use, I'm going to be thinking about that. And I like to show this image here. This is models from Half-Life from 1998. You can almost count the polygons on those people's heads. And these are models from Half-Life 2, just, 6 years later. So those are so much more detailed, so much more realistic. And as you know, in the next 16 years, it's now 2020, 3D models are getting even more complex during the real-time rendering. So I usually use that to kind of say, these days, like, yes, we do need to think about polygon count in a way, but also in another way, people want to know that if you're a 3D modeler, you can just model an object that's really good. And so when we're modeling this wingnut, I'm not going to try to make it the lowest polygon count. Or when you're modeling your weapon, let's try not to think about how low can you go. Let's just think about making a really good model. So, okay, I'm going to create a cone here, and I'm going to just do this, do that, and make it a little bit smaller at the top. I'm obviously not going to make the cone with a tip at the top. I'm just going to make it a little bit like that. And when we talk about our sides, these are the things I'm thinking about. Like, is 24 sides too many? Is it enough? And those questions really rely on how close am I going to be looking at it? If I'm going to be this close, maybe this edge is going to bother me, that silhouette. But it's really not. I'm okay with that. And I'm also going to smooth this edge out by chamfering it. It's fairly different than turbo smooth. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my edged faces. 24 is good. And also I like 24 because when you do something that's radially symmetrical, I like something divisible by 4 because I want to be able to cut it into 4 pieces, and then that's 6 components per spot. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it, I gave it 3 segments. I think the cone defaults to 5 height segments. I'm going to go with 3. I could probably get away with 1. I don't know, but I do want these 2 edges, and you'll see why in a little bit. But you know what? I think in my previous model I did do I'm going to do 5. I'm going to do 4. Okay. That being said, now what I'm going to do is add an edit poly. And I'm going to go ahead and before I even get started on extruding out my wings, I'm going to first inset my piece here, and I'm going to extrude that downward all the way to the bottom. Well, no, not quite yet. I'm just going to extrude it downward a little. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom. I'm going to not extrude it. Oops, oops, oops. X that out. I'm going to inset it. These are things that you all kind of have seen me do before. And I'm going to check that here. And now I'm going to go to my front mode, and I'm going to think about bringing those wings out. I'm probably going to select this row right here. So I'm going to do that on another edit polygon or edit poly modifier layer. I'm going to select my select polygons. I'm going to use windowed mode, or at least know I'm on windowed mode. I also switched to lasso mode so I can select I can make a little drawing myself. I am going to deselect by holding down Alt and clicking. I'm going to turn off my movement command to just select object mode so I don't accidentally move something I don't want to move. That would be bad. Okay, figure out which ones I don't want. There. And I don't want these, and I'm not sure about this. Let's check my image again for my wing nut. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that rim there on the top. So I don't want these. Don't want those. Okay. And is that good? Yeah, I think that's fine. And so now that both of these are selected, I'm going to extrude, I'm going to bevel them, because bevel can extrude. And so look at the way they're doing that. And this is no problem. I know that there are 3 ways of extruding in a bevel or an extrude, and I just have the wrong setup. So I'm going to click this really first button, and I'm going to go with local normals. Nope. Group normals. Oh, not group normals. Local normals. Wow, is that really right? Let's see. Oh, I have the bottom selected! That's why. Okay. Click X. Thank you. When something doesn't look right, just make sure you have the stuff you really want selected. There. Now that's all I have. I'm going to click bevel. That looks much nicer. So I'm extruding it outward, and I am beveling it inwards, like that. Great job. And I'm going to accept it. Go into my front left mode now. And I'm going to now disable that polygon selection mode, add another one, edit poly. And now I'm going to be moving my rows of verts here. And I'm lazy, and I'm not going to want to do this exactly the same way on the other side. So you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use symmetry eventually. Do I have all of those? Yes, I do. There we go. And I'm just going to accept this as good. Okay. So I just did one of them. And let's check that. Let me put symmetry on it. Of course, nothing happens because I need to, whoops, not flip it, put it on the X mode. Yay! And that's perfect. Yay. Okay, and it's here where we used to use edit poly to add turbo smooth. We would add edge loops and turbo smooth, but I'm going to show you something else right now, and that's the chamfer tool. So I'll show it once here. I'm going to add another edit poly. I'm going to use the edge selection mode. I'm going to select this, well, let's select this inner edge, and I'm going to hold down Shift and keep selecting. Okay, you're not really wanting to do that, so I am going to go into front mode, nope, left mode. I'm going to go into wireframe by tapping F3, and I'm going to select all of those edges. Note, there's actually an even better way of doing it. I am so sorry. I'm going to tap F3 again so I can see my edged faces. I'm going to go into polygon mode, select these inner polygons, and holding down Control, I'm going to click the edge button, and it's going to select every single edge that was associated with that those two polygons, and now I'm going to click Alt and click that middle one. And that just allows me to select every single edge. You could painstakingly just Control select everything and it would work fine. And with that, I'm going to click Chamfer. And Chamfer kind of does what Turbo Smooth used to do in a sense, but it would kind of round these edges. Now I could do just this top one here says whether it's standard or quad. I am okay with standard is fine. It usually matters when we have weird angles. We might want to choose quad, but I'm okay with standard. This second blurb here is the width that it's chamfering. And then this next one is the number of segments it's going to add. Whoops. So do I want 2? Do I want 1? For this one down here, 1 is fine. This other one here is whether or not we're going to be smoothing, and whether we're going to be smoothing the entire object or chamfers only. Let's just go with entire object. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just make it 2 just to show you what that looks like. And oops, I'm going to select OK. There we go. And so now we have, well, we can't see it here. Let me go ahead and show you what we've done. If I select everything now and clear all of my smoothing groups, and then click 1 to put them all in the same smoothing group, and then turn off my edged faces, you can see down here it's fairly ugly, but that's smoothing that inside. Okay. Now the rest of it looks pretty weird because I'm not done yet. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the next thing we're going to do, and that is smoothing this edge, right? So I'm going to use my edge selection mode, and I'm going to hold down Shift here and click the next one over, and it will select that entire ring. Now the reason why I wouldn't do it down here is because of the way this polygon was sitting. Sometimes it doesn't like polygons like that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click the chamfer button. It's going to remember that I wanted 2 chamfers. I'm going to set that to 1 and maybe make it a little bit like that. And just accept. Do I want to? See, you'll notice if I do 3, it's going to just curve that a lot more, right? And so the smaller the chamfer, the more tight that curve is going to be. It's fairly similar to Turbo Smooth, and you'll see why again in a second. There we go. So I just accepted that. Again, if I choose polygons, selection mode, select everything, it wants to smooth things in a weird way. I just continued clearing all and clicking them all on 1. Okay, and now you're starting to see this look a little bit more defined, and that's because as I'm going to be adding more edges to all of these. Right now, this looks really terrible, but we'll see in the next video. I'm going to finish this out. You will see how good this looks. Okay, so this is just introducing the overall shape and the concept of chamfering. In the next video, you'll see just a little bit about what else that chamfering can do. Okay, see you then. Bye.